So let's get started with that project. And for this, again, attached you find a starting project, which I did create through the command line as shown in the first course section. But again, it's a slightly cleaned up starting project, which simply ensures that we all start with the same foundation, with exactly the same starting point. So download that attached project snapshot and then open up the terminal, navigate into this project folder. You are already navigated there if you use the built-in terminal in Visual Studio Code. And then run npm install to install all those third-party packages which we need, like Next.js, for example. And with that, we're ready to go. But before we write any code, let's plan our project and let's plan which pages we need, for example. Now, this project will only have 4 routes. But with those 4 routes, we are going to practice all the things we learned in the last course section. We will need a starting page, of course. So for our domain /nothing, I want to reach the starting page, and on that starting page, a list of featured events should be shown. Keep in mind that we are building an application where we show events, where users can browse events, and where they potentially in the future might also be able to book events. That's not the focus of this first demo though. But therefore, of course, we want to show a list of events which users can take a closer look at. And therefore, we want to present such events on the starting page. And in the data which we'll use, we'll basically set a flag determining whether an event is featured or not. And if it's featured, it should show up on that starting page. But therefore, we'll also add a /events route. So our domain /events, which should load a different page, a page with all events. So here we then list all the events we currently offer in our application. Now, of course, users hopefully then also click on some event to get more details about that event and to potentially sign up for it and book it. And therefore, we will also add an events detail page for /events/ and then some dynamic ID. So that will not be hard-coded. Instead, that ID should be dynamic so that we can load the same page, the same detail page for different events and show data about that selected event. And last but not least, I also want to add a feature where users can filter events by year and month, so that I can not just see all events or just the featured events, but that I can also search for all the events that take place in May 2021, let's say. And therefore, we'll add another route, another page with such a dynamic slug segment, which will load the filtered events page, where we then show all the events matching our filter here. And we're going to build all these things together in that project. But as I mentioned, of course, also feel free to not jump into the next video immediately, where we will get started with all of that together, but instead try setting up those pages, those routes on your own, even if you don't add all the other logic yet, but try creating those route files on your own and add some dummy data, some dummy output to those page components. And then once you did that, move on to the next lecture where we will build this together.